think growing up in Congo helped me see a lot of the issues there are with the legacy financial ecosystem and how many countries and people are left out of it. And going to New York and then getting to crypto really showed me how you can possibly circumvent those legacy rails.
The price is $99, right? How you can make the cost so cheap? And is this the cheapest smartphone in the world?
So we have over 1 million downloads. We've created over 9 million wallets and sold over 900,000 phones.
Sky's the limit in the future.
I mean, past the sky, we're getting to the moon with the satellite.
What would be your advice to the young generation?
I would say you got to be open and take maximum risk.
Hello and welcome to Build It Up, where AI meets crypto, technology meets humanity, and East meets West. I'm Bill Chen, the co-founder of Cypher Capital. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. My guest this week is James Zhang, born and raised in Democratic Republic of the Congo. James is a co-founder and the CEO of Jambo, the largest Web3 mobile network in the world. James, thank you for joining us.
Awesome, Bill. Thank you for having me. Excited to get into this one.
Okay, so let's go to the topic. I think the whole community know you grew up in Africa and you studied in US. And how has growing up in Africa actually, influenced your personality and your worldview?
For sure. So I'm ethnically Chinese, right? But grew up like 16 years in Congo, which is honestly a very different country than most that you might hear of or have traveled to, even in Africa. A continent of like 54 countries and 1.4 billion people. It's just very emerging market, Central Africa. I'll say this, right? I ended up in New York, went to school in New York. My friends in New York use crypto every day, just like my friends in Congo currently, and different purposes. New York for trading, Congo for, say, remittances, paying their supplier in Senegal when they're in Congo or Kenya, right? Sending money to their friend that they owe money to in Ghana. When you're in Kenya, there is no cross-border payment system. There's no Venmo, there's no WeChat. So I think growing up in Congo helped me see a lot of the issues there are with the legacy financial ecosystem, like cross-border payments, remittances, banking neobanks, and how many countries and people are left out of it. And going to New York and then getting to crypto really showed me how you can possibly circumvent those legacy rails and get into do Web3. So I think that might be the biggest thing for growing up in Africa for me.
I think you also share with me pretty much like, during your childhood, you cannot walk in the street without any bodyguard with guns, right?
Right. So an interesting part, like I said, Congo, very dangerous. If you're white and you walk on the streets, they'll like speak Lingala, call you like Mundele, like white in Lingala, the local dialect, and etc. And sometimes at night it might get dangerous. So you generally don't just walk on the streets anywhere. You have to like drive places, bulletproof cars, might have guards. And there's only a few places that you would go to, like school, like the golf or tennis club, friends' houses, things like that.
Okay. So those experience, from Africa didn't bring you to a career like, do the mining business in Africa, but get you into a like crypto. What kind of a driver make you commit to the crypto and fintech instead of like, the other, let's say, global trading business or mining business, etc.?
Right. Or like commodities, etc. I see your point.
Yes.
I think I'm lucky that I honestly went to school in New York and I was studying comp sci 2015, sophomore year, got in contact with Bitcoin, right, through comp sci class. I think in that class of 22 people, maybe only one other person still looks at smart contracts or does anything in the space. So it honestly is, you have to have a background and seeing like where the adoption might be, which for me is in the global South, in Africa, in LATAM, some of Jambo's largest markets right now, and then seeing that technology. So I think the really big difference is honestly the community. Like when I graduated, even that was 2017 May, and there was a lot of just cutting edge new technologies forming, right? Ethereum was becoming the global computer. You have different L1s, you have various financial rails built out by Web3, and that I think is what excited me. And honestly, I have zero advantage getting into the regular commodities or other businesses. So I think just going with interest.
Awesome. But it sounds like, you're still getting to a very unique path. Most of the founder, I guess, graduated from New York or from California. They get into, protocol, right? DeFi, etc. Or get into a, more like a software. But you chose a very unique way. You get into the hardware. What's the context? Why is that?
Yes, sir. So first on why we did it, is if you look at crypto bottleneck today for adoption, there's accessibility and there's onboarding. And I think you have to be resistant, censorship resistant at the hardware level to really make sense. And if you're going to target so many different countries, like Jambo today, we're in over 100 countries. We've shipped 800,000 phones to like 120 countries. So we really focus on local jurisdictions. So yeah, I think for us, it just made a lot of sense in the hardware space that we want to be censorship resistant there. Now, how we actually did it is, I think, being lucky, again, ethnically Chinese, the global supply chain, right, of hardware, et cetera, is formulated in these areas in China. So it took our team like well over a year to build out the supply chain. Because if you look at any hardware business, especially in crypto and Web3, there is a lot of pre-ordering. You look at units sold, it's usually around 50,000 units. And you usually pre-order for a few months. So for us, is from when we announce the product to when we start shipping, it might just be a few weeks, and we can handle, right? We've done a bit over 800,000 phones in a year. So we can handle sort of like that kind of sizing. And that goes to our company DNA, where we go to sleep and wake up thinking about distribution. Because honestly, at the end of the day, if we own the distribution funnel to users, then it's a lot of value that we can create on chain.
Yeah, and also I know the price is $99, right? Can you share us like how you can make the cost so cheap? And is this like the cheapest smartphone in the world in the emerging market?
100%. So first of all, is we break even on the phone. We don't make a single dollar profit, right? Between what it comes out from the factory to customs, sales tax, to middleman distribution cut, is $99 shipped to you. Now, the reason why we chose this price point to break even is because, like I said, distribution, right? The user in these regions, like our top markets in LATAM, Indonesia, you look at phones that you can buy in the similar price range, it's probably going to be around 20% more expensive at the cheapest, and the specs are going to be a lot worse. So for the same spec phone, like it's going to be at least double the price for a JamboPhone, especially with the JamboPhone 2 that we announced end of last year. Has started shipping. It's triple the specs of the JamboPhone 1, 12 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage. The only downside a lot is the camera, which honestly will not be as good as the phone that you have in front of you at the price point. But how we're able to do it is long discussions with the supply chain, with the factories. What can we cut out that isn't integral to what we're doing? And camera is something that you just have to pay a lot to get something better for. So we were able to strip away things that we might not need for the phone and make it more facing for our consumer base.
Yeah, I guess you probably is the only one mobile phone player in the world which has a break-even hardware strategy but want to monetize or capitalize from the other fronts, right?
So that's actually a great point. And, VCs also, there's a reason why you invest in software, because it's just a lot more scalable. Hardware has a lot more moats. It's a lot harder to get into. Anyone that's ever been in manufacturing, right? Like Elon said, been in a Tesla factory, anything, you just know how difficult it is. The reason we chose hardware as a go-to-market strategy, but not even making a profit on the hardware, is going back to, I said, building that community, building that on-ramping accessibility in crypto. Because if you look at the global south today, the number one use case is stablecoins, period, where you're hedging against hyperinflation. Users are already, it's not like Jambo's coming into these markets that we're in LATAM, in Africa, and saying, hey, let me teach you what crypto is. There's this new thing that'll give you access. They're already using cryptocurrencies. They're already using stable coins, right? Mexico, I think 3% of the GDP yearly is from remittances and sending money back, over $50 billion. And it's an order of magnitude if you can use Web3 rails, going from T+8, T+10 days, taking like 8% of fees, to order of magnitudes like bips of fees and instantaneous transactions. So for us, the hardware is honestly an onboarding method, and then the value is created within the software. I'll give you a concrete example. I'm speaking very high level, like being Asian ethnically, right? You grow up around WeChat, Tencent, et cetera, super apps. And those super apps all started off with sort of one main protocol. And as obviously Bill knows this much better than me, but like WeChat is messaging.
Killer use case.
Killer use case, exactly. And then around that, you now build a credit system for your users, and you're able to offer him finance, micro loans to electricity bills, airport payments. So for us, we're taking that one step further, taking a user 0 to 1, right? Out of the 1.4 billion people in Africa, let's say there's 40% unbanked. If you airdrop a non-custodial digital wallet to each person tomorrow, congrats, you just banked the entire continent. The issue is they still don't have access to the global financial ecosystem because they don't have credit. So within Jambo, now with users DAU 5 hours, spending time in our apps, download their own Android-based operating system, we can provide a sort of credit system for the user for them to then tap into many other sort of facets. So I guess that's the reason why we use hardware as the cheapest entry point and a moat to then get our users.
Amazing. Let's talk about the different, user behavior in different jurisdiction. I guess like, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Africa are, one of the top your jurisdiction regarding the distribution, right? Could you share with us, like, what kind of user behavior are different from those different countries?
100%. I think this question really relates to how developed that nation is in their financial rails already. What I'm saying is, if you look at, say, Brazil, like our top market, I think it is our top market because they're used to digital payments, because in Brazil, there's already Pix, which is a digital QR code form of payments. It's very similar to using crypto. And it's about a few decades in front of Africa in terms of neobanks, in terms of other rails, Transact, and other third parties that you can help you on-ramp, off-ramp that we work with. Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria are in our top 10. Some other countries, even though much bigger in population, might fall in, like Congo, 160 million people, isn't in our top 10. And I think the reason for that is going back to, again, what users they're already used to. For example, in Kenya, there's M-Pesa, which is the sort of global internal of the country, but you can't do it outside of Kenya. Transfer payments, it's like internal just for Kenya. So I think users there are again, like very knowledgeable. The young base of like what to use the apps and like digitally to get enhanced, but maybe some other regions are not. Now, Southeast Asia is obviously special as being our supply chain. A lot of our base is in Asia. We did a lot of pop-ups between like, say, Thailand, Indonesia, some of the larger markets. And I think there, it's a lot more community driven. What I mean is, if you look at like 2021, Axie Infinity, YGG, right? How come Axie Infinity took off insanely in Philippines, but not as insane as Philippines as in the other markets? I think YGG being a huge part, forming the Filipino dollar Binance trading pair, being that infrastructure, helping users onboard, etc. So similarly for us, we're finding those partners in a lot of these regions, community driven, word of mouth, internet cafes where kids go, because we're dealing with very young, probably average user base is like low 20s at the moment.
Yeah, you mentioned, in most of the country, remittance and the stablecoin use case is one of the dominant use case. So to some extent, do you think you are also a, disruptor in the long term to a lot of sovereign fiat over there? Because gradually, with the help of the Jambo, people began to rely on more, on stable US dollar, etc., and try to, escape away from their own fiat.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. You look at 54 countries in Africa right now, how many of them have come out with clear guidance from the SEC or their FTC on what crypto, digital assets, et cetera is? There are some provisional licenses, like in Nigeria, they gave QDAX and Busha provisional licensing. In Botswana, a smaller country, like 3 million people, they have a license come out. But end of the day, there isn't. And that's because if you're going to launch a stable coin and do that, you're taking money essentially away from the government's pockets. And it's very, very centralized over there. But I think that's something that local governments in these regions are facing, is younger generations coming up are actually understanding the crypto payments use cases from as simple as hold a stable coin and you can hedge against hyperinflation. Like point in case, our Argentinian employees in deep bear market was still asking us for purely stable coins and nothing fiat, because they already sort of broke out the matrix in that way. So I guess to answer the question is, not only am I seeing governments being more proactive now in these regions, like I think the Central African Republic just launched a meme coin themselves, right? They're obviously following the space if you can even do that. Although I think there was like 3 mil liquidity on the DEX to like a 400 mil market cap, to other like things that conferences are doing. But I think end of the day, it's going to take a lot of guidance and a lot of companies like the yellow cards of the world, right? The Conzo Finances, the Bushas that can really help onboard users in these local jurisdictions to get crypto out there more, because that's what we want to see. But the governments obviously might need more guidance.
Yeah, amazing. So let's pivot the gear a little bit, talk about AI. What do you see the crossroads of AI, embracing the crypto? And are you using any AI in your Jambo community as well?
So first of all, I think like AI is great, right? AI agents, etc. I was myself we're testing like Vector, the new Tensor app for social trading meme coins, buying some tokens, AI16Z, etc. The issue I have is just I really don't understand it too deeply. I have a lot of friends that are in like, say, Web2 AI. They're like, damn, I've seen this like 5 years ago. They're just doing a wrapper of ChatGPT, adding in this with some GitHub repos. And I don't know if that's true or not, right? If we talk about stable coins, I can probably hit up a few people smarter than me, get to the bottom of certain things, regulations, black and white, 0 to 1. For AI agents, I just don't know. So we at Jambo personally haven't done a huge push in AI to come out with different things and catch a narrative or anything. The only thing we currently have is Jambo GPT, which is allowing our users to access real-time crypto data using crypto inside of ChatGPT in our phone. Otherwise, it would not be real-time data or in crypto. So yeah, I'll put it that first. But I think a lot of our community was super excited when they saw various AI agent tokens, et cetera, come out in the last 2-3 months. But I'm afraid it might not be for the utility case and more for the trading purposes, which is not saying it's a bad thing, right? You look at the top revenue generating products of this cycle, right? From Pump Fund to Poly Market, etc. Speculation is obviously one of the best forms of onboarding.
Yeah. And you're dealing with how many users already right now?
Yeah. So we have over 1 million downloads on our app, Jambo app.
$1 million.
Yeah. We've created over 9 million wallets ourselves with our users and sold over 900,000 phones.
Wow, that's very impressive number. And going forward, how do you envision Jambo in next 5 years?
Yes, sir. So I'll start with maybe year one first, this year, 2025.
Okay.
We announced our huge satellite push. So basically we are censorship resistant hardware side, and we want to be censorship resistant along the connectivity side. Because if you look at a lot of the regions that we are in, you're going to be working with telcos. And a lot of these telcos are monopolized, very tough to deal with, hard to provide internet access, and you're not going to be resistant to any censorship. So we are partnering up with a very large satellite company, starts with an S. It's a Starlink, and we're going to launch our own satellite orbs up there and this year and have connectivity essentially for all of our devices, token gated with the J token to use.
Okay, so that's the first year. So first year, you're going to be a satellite operator, the only one satellite operator company in the crypto. And how about the next 4 years?
Yes, sir. So once we have a connectivity and resistant to both sides, right? The usual playbook of any company or hardware, right? You start with iPhone 1, you go to iPhone 16 Pro Max, right? You start with DJI this, you get to et cetera. For us, it's weird to say, that Jambo isn't a phone company when your number one product is a phone, but it's honestly an onboarding tool. So whatever our next hardware device may be, whether that's a phone, whether it's in a format of something else, but connected, pre-installed with Web3 applications and having a really global consumer user base that we can tap into, I'd say is the ultimate goal. So whether I can say year 2, year 3, we reach escape velocity for users, not only on our satellite connectivity plans or for our hardware, whether a few countries or telcos that we have partnerships with are going to order 5 million phones in one order for the user base. Hard to say at the moment. I don't want to put out anything that's not concrete, but we'll announce it on Twitter.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So sky's the limit in the future.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, past the sky, we're getting to the moon with the satellite.
Yeah. Awesome. A lot of audience will be very interested. You have a fantastic career in very cross-cultural environment, right? You travel to different countries, study different places, etc. So what would be your advice, to the young generation? I mean, right now the world is so sort of a change a lot, very dynamic with a lot of technology disruption. What would be your advice to them?
I think you're a lot more suited to give this advice than me, but if I was to give my advice to the younger gen coming up, I would say you got to be open and take maximum risk. Open heart, maximum risk. And I say that reason is because you look at how fast the narratives and trends are shifting in crypto today. You can go from Dave Portnoy coming in to literally the president and his wife launching a token, right, to et cetera, Web2, amazing entrepreneurs coming back in and launching tokens like Vine and token gated. So if you're sort of set on just one thesis, it's very hard to catch other things. Like you look at a lot of OGs from 2017 cycle, it's hard to change their perspective in some new technologies because they've maybe made a bag in previously or they just deep reset it. But as we know in crypto, there is no narrative that holds on for any amount of time. So if you're open and you can take maximum risk, well, I don't mean jump into every new thing, but I mean is, hey, maybe you should hear a pitch of this entrepreneur, or hey, you listen to that podcast. I think that is where a lot of value is going to come from, especially in our parents' day and age, right? It's a lot of keep whatever information you can to yourself, because that's how you get further. Information asymmetry, and you need to get ahead. But in today's world, right, you can get what can you now find from Googling or from any data dashboard, right? Doing analytics. It's just about how you aggregate this information and choose your tribe to work towards a bigger purpose.
Okay, so let's say if there are some young people who are willing to take risk and they want to set up their startup in technology domain, maybe crypto or maybe AI. So what would be the specific advice for them after they commit to taking the risk?
Apply to an accelerator. I think that's the most hands-on approach, where I think when we started Jambo in 21, there was no like Web3 accelerators that I can really say like, yo, it's dope. They have amazing mentors and a lot of dope projects came out of it. But as of today, I think Alliance DAO is the golden standard at the moment, in my opinion. Like full disclosure, we did go through Alliance DAO, but you, Chow, Enron, amazing, Will Robinson, mentors. So I would say apply for an accelerator, right? Even if you don't make it into accelerator, be on crypto Twitter all the time. Literally go to some dope crypto people, just have their following list as your Twitter following list, and then reach out. But accelerator, I think, is the most hands-on. Then if you're really trying to take that next step, look at different ecosystems. Are you Solana? Are you EVM, right? Are you Move? Apply for grant, right? Find a co-founder, etc. Then if you're taking that next step, then it's VC funding and etc. But I think there are various people that honestly are more helpful than you might think.
Yep. Okay, amazing. Yeah. I think, that's pretty much for today. Thank you, James, for joining us.
No, amazing. Thank you so much, Bill. Appreciate it.
Well, that's all for today on Build It Up. We will be back next week with another inspiring guest. Subscribe now so you will never miss our amazing interviews. Until next time, this is Bill Chen. Goodbye and take care.